You are sitting in a room full of people, yet you have never felt more distant. You watch the laughter, the casual touches, and the effortless flow of conversation as if you were observing a foreign ritual through a thick pane of glass. You smile when you're supposed to, you nod at the right intervals, but internally, you are counting down the seconds until you can be back in your car, back behind your front door, back in the safety of your own silence. You tell yourself, and anyone who asks, that you just prefer your own company. You claim to be an introvert, a lone wolf, someone who finds people exhausting. And while there is truth in that exhaustion, there is a deeper, more haunting truth you rarely whisper even to yourself. The solitude that saves you is the same solitude that is slowly burying you alive. This is the core paradox of the solitary soul. The walls you built to keep out the pain of rejection have become the walls of your own prison. You chose to be alone because at some point in your formative years, you learned that other people equaled unpredictable pain. You decided that if you never let anyone in, you could never be cast out. But now, the very strategy that ensured your survival is sabotaging your capacity to be known. You aren't preferring to be alone. You are hiding in plain sight. To understand why you retreated, we have to look at the architectural blueprint of your nervous system. This isn't just shyness, it is a physiological reconfiguration. When a child experiences repeated emotional misalignment or overt rejection, they often develop what psychologists call avoidant attachment. In this state, the brain learns that seeking comfort from others is a losing game. To protect the self, the child performs a deactivation of the attachment system. You effectively cut the wires to your own longing so that you don't have to feel the sting of it being unrequited. This leads to a state of hypervigilance. Even in your solitude, your brain is scanning for threats. You have become a master of social thin slicing, judging micro-expressions and tone of voice with lethal accuracy, looking for the first sign of boredom or judgment in another person. The moment you detect it, you retreat. This is a surviving reflex of the autonomic nervous system. Your body perceives a social slight with the same intensity it would perceive a physical predator. Furthermore, many who prefer solitude are caught in the default mode network, or DMN, of the brain. When you are alone, your DMN is highly active, often spiraling into rumination. You aren't just relaxing in your room, you are mentally rehearsing every social interaction, analyzing where you went wrong, and reinforcing the belief that the world is a minefield you're better off avoiding. There is a profound, invisible grief in the life of the self-sufficient person. It is the grief of the unwitnessed life. As Carl Jung once noted, solitude is for me a fount of healing, which makes my life worth living. Talking is often a torment for me, and I need many days of silence, but the debt we owe to the play of imagination is incalculable. However, Jung also warned of the shadow, the parts of ourselves we repress to stay safe. By choosing total solitude to avoid rejection, you have repressed your relational self. You have traded authenticity for safety. The cost is a lingering sense of unreality. When no one truly knows you, your fears, your weirdness, your midnight thoughts, do you even fully exist? You suffer from what can be called the pain of the shield. A shield is heavy. It requires constant muscular tension to hold up. You are exhausted not because of people, but because of the immense energy it takes to maintain your fortress of solitude while keeping your heart under lock and key. The core fear driving you is not a fear of people, but a fear of vulnerability. To be seen is to be known, and to be known is to be judged. To avoid the possibility of a no, you have stopped asking the world for a yes. As you move through adulthood, this trauma of rejection manifests in specific, undeniable patterns. These are not personality traits, they are scars. The exit strategy. You never enter a social situation without knowing exactly how you will leave. You are the king or queen of the Irish goodbye. The intellectual fortress. You use your intelligence or deep thinking as a barrier. If you stay in your head, no one can touch your heart. Hyper-independence. You refuse to ask for help, even when you're drowning. To ask is to be beholden. To be beholden is to be weak. To be weak is to be rejected. The flake reflex. You feel a surge of pure dopamine when plans are canceled. That relief isn't just introversion, it's the nervous system escaping a perceived threat. Emotional minimalism. You keep your problems to yourself because you don't believe anyone truly cares, or worse, you think your needs are an annoyance to others. The digital proxy. You find it easier to connect via screens or text, where the buffer of technology protects you from the raw, unpredictable energy of a face-to-face encounter. The first step towards unlearning this is the radical act of witnessing. You must stop gaslighting yourself by saying, "I just like being alone." Instead, look at the wall and admit, "I built this because I was hurt, and I am still afraid." Healing does not mean becoming a social butterfly or an extrovert. It means moving from compulsive solitude to chosen connection. The path to wholeness involves reparenting that inner child who decided the world wasn't safe. It requires shadow work, looking at the parts of you that crave love but are too terrified to ask for it. It involves micro-dosing vulnerability. It's telling one person one small true thing about your internal world and realizing that the floor didn't fall out from under you. As the philosopher Paul Tillich beautifully stated, language has created the word loneliness to express the pain of being alone, and it has created the word solitude to express the glory of being alone. Your goal is to transform your loneliness back into solitude. Solitude is a choice. Loneliness is a cage. You can still love your quiet nights and your books and your inner world, but you must allow the windows of your house to stay open. You are not broken because you prefer to be alone. You are a person who learned to survive a world that didn't know how to hold you. But the war is over now. You are allowed to set down the shield. You are allowed to be seen. You are allowed to be whole. If this resonated with you, it's because your relational self is still in there, waiting for permission to come out. Like this video, share your story in the comments. Sometimes the first step to breaking the silence is simply realizing you aren't the only one hiding in it.